So this week, a video has been doing the rounds, supposedly showing British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in a passionate embrace with Labour Party donor Lord Wahid Ali.
The mainstream media cover-up.
Questions about Keir Starmer's private life and his relationship with Lord Ali, who's openly homosexual.
Keir Starmer does not want you to watch this video. Keir Starmer.
Ladies and gentlemen and everything in between. What's going on? What's the happy apps, people? Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Abe Thompson and Other Disappointments. And of course, thank you to those of you who could join us for the Patreon meetup on Saturday just gone. Out in Brick Lane, so we were. Thank you very much. A doff of the cap to Super Tansky, to Diz, to Richard Marsden, all of who came down and came out for the meetup. Saturday the 7th of June was this one. There will be another one, don't worry. But yeah, we had lots of fun. We were shooting the breeze. We were putting the world to rights over its many, many wrongs. But also now it appears that since meeting up, it appears that myself and Tan have both now contracted Ebola or something. I don't know if that's an indictment of, the big smoke and the health risks that you run when you lock yourself into, multiple trains and tubes and buses and breathe in the infections of literally hundreds of different people. I don't know if it's that or if I've pissed off the wrong people with this show, maybe like Richard and Diz are actually sleeper agents, like who have I angered? Who have I pissed off, rubbed up the wrong way that they sent Richard Marsden and Diz out for those beers on Brick Lane. And that was our veritable sushi in Piccadilly. Perhaps. Trying to take me out. These sleeper agents with their chemical weapons being smuggled in. Or whatever. Anyway, so I feel absolutely rotten. I feel dog eggs. I gather that Tan feels similarly ropey too. So please forgive me, if I fumble my words this evening, if I forget my train of thought. I'll get back to it. Don't worry. I mean, 99% of these shows, of this podcast, is ill-prepared, not really thought through. Just me sort of vaguely stringing together thoughts, feelings, opinions, and rants. So it's not unreasonable to think or predict that by the end of this episode, you'll be like, I didn't even really notice any difference, to be honest, Ed. You seemed on your usual form. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about tonight? What's the happy haps? What are the news stories that have been spaffed across your periphery, for want of a better phrase, over the last few days? Tuesday night at time of recording. What are we trying to make sense of at the moment? Well, there's lots going on, isn't there? There's an awful lot going on out there. We've had Greta Thunberg intercepted by Israel for daring to set sail on her aid ship with lots of food and sanitary products and stuff for the people of Gaza, for daring to set sail in international waters. That was her crime, and Israel intercepted that boat in waters that are not their own. And I thought that was ballsy. Say what you like about Benji, about the Netanyahu regime. But that was pretty fucking ballsy by Israel. Going into a territory that you have no right to, taking someone out of it, taking them back to your land. Like, the Hamas parallels are there to see if you were trying to see them. Like, it's not like that. Like, I was half expecting to see Sweden invade Jerusalem and say, oh, it's got a right to defend itself. Just take all their land. Like, that's how it works, isn't it? I thought that's how it works now. Give us the hostages back, they would scream while taking measurements to construct a new IKEA in Tel Aviv. Trump has gone crazy too. Yes, even more so. Last week was a bad week for Donny. I think that's inarguable, whichever side of the fence you reside on. Last week was not a good week for Donald Trump with the Elon Don breakup, and then Musk subsequently calling him a paedophile and shouting about how Donald Trump is on the Epstein list, and that's why you won't see the Epstein list. I mean, they say there's no such thing as bad PR. That's what they say. That's the saying. There's no such thing as bad PR. But I think Hugh Edwards and Philip Schofield might beg to differ. I really think they might do. Prince Andrew has some feels about this topic. So to recapture the headlines, to feed his insatiable ego, because he can't handle, not just criticism. Of course he can't handle criticism. He goes uber aggressive at the mere mention of criticism. He breaks out in hives and herps at the mere unreferenced whisper that he may have put a foot wrong somewhere, doesn't he? But it's not just a criticism. He also can't handle the lack of attention. He needs publicity. With Donald Trump, there really isn't such a thing as bad publicity. It's like, weren't you found liable for fraud to the tune of $400 million? Like, didn't you rape somebody? Well, maybe I did. Maybe I did do that, but what the fuck did you do? None of that shit. Right, well, that's why I'm the star. Yeah, I guess so. A sort of, celebrity rapist of sorts. But at least they're talking about me. At least the viewing figures, have you seen the viewer numbers for when I was on Fox News and getting convicted of this stuff? At least people are talking about me. Like, that's the whole thing. Anyway, so to recapture the headlines, to feed said ego, he has to do something crazy. Something in fifth gear. Something front page, newsworthy, and insane. And on this occasion, he opted to invade one of his own states. Right? That's pretty much what is happening. Is he sent in the National Guard, right? Now he's sent in the Marines. He's sent in, backup forces from some agency or other with rubber bullets and tear gas, and there's footage of this Australian journalist. She's reporting about it, like, in the street. She's quite clearly a journalist, and she gets hit in the face by, like, a tear gas canister or, like, a rubber bullet or something. So, yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, is it? It's not great optics for a tourism hotspot. Like California, like Los Angeles, like Hollywood. For a country that calls itself land of the free, home of freedom. We're the envy of the world, greatest country in the world, home of the free. And you see your state-sanctioned troops with their masks on their faces, clubbing people to the floor on the order of the president, overruling a governor, a democratically elected governor, to crush and silence protest is what is happening. Like, how's that for an advert? To get people back coming to America for their holidays. Like, I was already umming and erring over whether whether America was a good place to visit, would be an okay place, a safe place to visit, to take me and my family for a holiday. I was already second-guessing myself. moving it down to like option 3, option 5 on the list of dream holiday places I might consider, you know? I was like mulling it over in my head. I was like I'm sure I would like it in LA. I'm pretty sure I would like, you know, I'm sure the sights are great. But it's just honestly, like, I'm just a bit torn about the weather in El Salvador, which is definitely 100% where I would be like refused entry and then deported to, stuffed on a government plane and flown down to El Salvador. You know, in some ways it's a bargain, isn't it? You know, you buy your ticket to San Francisco, but now you get to see a Supermax South American prison. It's two for one, sort of. It's a bargain. People. I was thinking the other day how wild it is that across the world now, if you observe politics, if you're up to date with current affairs, with geopolitical movements across the world now, you have got Vladimir Putin tearing into Ukraine. You've got Israel tearing into Gaza. You've got Israel tearing into international waters, right? Detaining Greta. You've got Trump tearing in to California. Like, how long is it going to be, do you think? Until even the most hopeful and idealistic among us are just going to have to grimly accept that this is our new reality. You know? That we now inhabit this sort of weirdly, paradoxically, not through left-leaning politics, but through far-right politics. We've landed in a space where borders aren't real. You know, it's like the whole, well, I don't really believe in borders. Lefty adage. You know, it's a pro-immigration. It's a, we are all one. We're humanists. It's that thing. That saying. I don't really believe in borders. I think people should be able to move to this country and that country if they should so wish. I don't really believe in borders, Aid. It's like, how weird is it that mentality has somehow found its way into our current far-right/right-wing reality? Like this complete ignorance, total lack of respect for geopolitical borders is where we've ended up. Like you could invade anybody now, to be honest. If you were a president, prime minister, emperor, baron, you know, whatever, you could, realistically, you could just crack on and invade somewhere. You know, if you're China and you really want Taiwan, like you could just do it now. Or if you're India and you really want I don't even know the names of any places. I'm showing how geopolitically ignorant I am. I don't know. You've got me busted. If there's a place around India that maybe India want to capture, invade, detain people from, just plow in. Like, if you are a reasonably big and powerful country now in 2025, 2026, you could literally plow into anywhere right now. It is open season on that. Just plow in there. Just be like, yeah, I want the hostages back. I'm here to smoke them out. Or we've got a lot of history with this particular territory, and now it's been taken over by drug-addled Nazis. We've done our own hooky referendum, and then all of the population somehow mysteriously say that they want us to just take it over. If you are a rich and powerful country, it is open season for it. At the moment. That's all you need is a flimsily constructed narrative to sell to people, to the world's news agencies. A flimsily constructed narrative. Or not even that. You know, you could just as easily point to all of the other people who have done it. You know, you point to every nation out there that's illegally invaded on a constructed narrative. You just go, like, if you're like, I don't know, Mexico, you just go, well, why would I not invade Cuba. Like, serious. Like, why would I not? Like, we speak the same language? Probably. I don't know. I think we're close. It's like an hour from Cancun to Cuba. Like, you renamed the lake from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, but you didn't say shit about Cuba. Like, it's not the Cuba of America. Like, you snooze, you lose. It's the Cuba of Mexico now. And what, seriously, would the United States, like, riddle me this, what would the United States be able to do about that? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to put sanctions on Cuba? Punish them for partnering with Mexico? Like, the US haven't traded with Cuba for like fucking 80 years or something. They're already sanctioned to fuck. What the fuck would the United States be able to do if Mexico were just like, you know what? This whole invasion thing, that's sounding pretty fun, to be honest. So, yeah. You heard it here first, guys. You know, have the lake if you like. Rebrand it, rename it. Gulf of America. You can have that. That's fine. But just know this. It's going to be surrounded. Okay? It's going to be surrounded by Mexico and the Cuba of Mexico. You know, your logistics, your commerce ships, your navy, like all of it's going to be surrounded on your way out. Every time you depart from Louisiana or Miami or whatever, you're going to be surrounded by Mexico and the Cuba of Mexico. You're going to be like me leaving a sports bar. Just sheepishly, just getting eyeballed by the locals, by the patrons, as I sheepishly leave their place, that I'm not welcome. Anyway, what else are we going to talk about tonight, guys? Tonight, I've got something I'm quite excited about sharing with you. Do you know what it is? Tonight, the latest right-wing conspiracy theory has just dropped.
Deep state.
Two-tier policing.
Free the Lucy's.
Coordinated media attacks.
5G lab leak lizard people bastards.
People, listeners, viewers, Patreons, people of the Booge, I'm excited. Are you psyched? The latest right-wing conspiracy theory has just landed after two-tier policing, the Great Replacement theory, the Jews run the world, and of course kid farming, which was the one that we contributed on this show. Our own fantasy nightmare that we then choose to live in. You know, we've talked about this ad nauseum, haven't we? Where the Crayola right of the UK political landscape, they invent these conspiracy theories, these fantasy nightmares, and then choose to live in them. Like, well, wouldn't it be terrible if there was such a thing as two-tier policing? Oh my God, there's such a thing as two-tier policing. What are we going to do? You get the idea. So, we contributed kid farming to that. But anyway, tonight, I bring you the latest conspiracy theory from the Crayola right, and that is that Keir Starmer's homes were arsoned. Guys, do you remember all of that? They were arsoned by disgruntled rent boys with whom the PM had a prior relationship. That's the idea. That's the story. Who exactly has been suggesting that Keir Starmer's homes were arson attacked by male prostitutes? Well, this guy. These guys, this fella, these people. Now, there is an argument to be had. There is a case to be made that by addressing this sort of thing, you're giving it oxygen. So just ignore it. It's just best to ignore it, Aid. Take the high ground for once in your life. Just take the high ground, Aid. Just ignore it. Ignore the disinformation paradigm that we're all forced to endure every day. Ignore the house fire in the downstairs rooms that is slowly engulfing your house. By addressing it, by opening the door downstairs to investigate, you only give it oxygen. So it's It's much better if you and your whole family just stay upstairs and put your fingers in your ears and wait for the flames to engulf you and your children, Aid. Seems to be the attitude of the left the last few years. Just ignore it. Just don't stoop to their level. And I think we could agree that's all turned out great, hasn't it? You know, Brexit didn't happen. The right didn't get crazier. Populists didn't gain traction. And Donald Trump didn't win twice. So, forgive me if I think addressing these things is probably something we should consider. Like, we should consider it, shouldn't we? We should consider addressing it, I think. Like, we should give it a try, shouldn't we? Addressing these things rather than just ignoring them and allowing them to continue to grow and fester, or even worse, just outright aping them. Right? I mean, that's going to be a weird thing with this one, is when it becomes a major talking point on GB News and Talk TV and BBC News and Question Time, and of course by Farage, Tyson, the Reform Party. Then at that point, you're going to see Keir Starmer himself acknowledging and perpetuating a conspiracy theory about himself and rent boys. You know, he's going to be like, well, you're right to be concerned. I'm angry about this too. We're going to be like, you what? About whatever it is that your Prime Minister has been doing and getting up to. I tell you what, I'm going to get to the bottom of whatever it is that this Keir Starmer guy has been up to. Right, but you're Keir Starmer. Right, but who better to get the facts from? You know, Keir Starmer knows what Keir Starmer's been doing, doesn't he? You know, it's straight from the horse's mouth. So, let's talk about it. The conspiracy theory is that the guys who have been arrested for firebombing Keir Starmer's properties and past properties. You may recall that this is a story that took place in May this year. The guys who got arrested for it are Petro Pochinok, Roman Larivnochit, I'm never going to pronounce these names correctly, and Stanislav Karpic. So we'll just call them Petro, Roman, and Stan, shall we? And Petro, who is a Ukrainian guy, he's 34, he was arrested in Chelsea in mid-May on suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson with intent to endanger life. And that's in relation to 3 incidents. There's a vehicle fire in Kentish Town. Then there's a fire at the Prime Minister's private home, and that's on the same street. And then there's a fire at an address where he previously lived in northwest London. So Petro is the first guy, 34 years old, gets arrested in Chelsea. He gets charged, but Roman also gets charged. Roman's in his 20s, I think. He gets charged with 3 counts of arson with an intent to endanger life. Roman is 21, it says. Then the last guy is Stan, and he's 26. Was also born in Ukraine, but has Romanian nationality, it says. And so the car blows up on the 8th of May. 3 days later, the flats house complex thing is firebombed. And then the next day after that, the 12th of May, the private residence that he's currently rented out while he lives in Downing Street, that gets firebombed. The door just burns out. Nobody's hurt. It's not too destructive. The house doesn't burn down, but it's serious, right? 3 fires in 3 different days. And it could have been bad. Could have been really bad. Could have killed somebody. And frankly, guys, I'm beginning to regret the house fire metaphor I started off with. The idea of a fire on the ground floor slowly engulfing. Everybody just feels a little bit insensitive now, given the actual substance of this story. Anyway, so they get tracked down, arrested, all 3 of them. And of course, they deny the charges. And a few people, a few talking heads and a few publications, Fleet Street, etc., they suggest that this could be the work of Russia. Then on the 26th of May, the Kremlin fire back at suggestions that Russia may have been behind the attacks. They say Britain always imagines these things. Any things that are bad that happen in the UK, the Kremlin are like, oh, somehow it's the problem and the fault of the Kremlin again. It's always Mr. Putin that's behind everything, isn't it? Why? Why is it always up? Because it's nearly always you. That's why. You know, we don't need to go through the myriad of shit that they have obviously actually done, do we? Do we need to go through that little, jaunt down memory lane? Or are you guys still fully versed on that stuff? As a spy in the bag, most intelligent, reasonable people now accept that was Russia. He was about to go public on a Russian, embedded spy in MI5 or MI6 or something. So they offed him. The Skripals in Salisbury. The whole Piccadilly polonium sushi debacle. The Kremlin lie and murder and then lie about the murders in a way that is so hilariously confident for such obvious guilt. It's like they think they're Darth Vader, and we're all so fucking stupid, it's like a Jedi mind trick where they just go, no, that was not us, and then we go, oh, it wasn't them then. But it doesn't quite work like that, does it? Instead, it's like, oh, that was not us, and we're like, no, that was. I mean, it was definitely you. It was, We've got the CCTV, Vlad. We've got the intelligence. We've got the paper trail. We've got the surveillance. The traces of polonium that followed your boys all the way back to their hotel room and down the sink of their hotel. We know it was you. It's like arguing with a shit girlfriend, isn't it? When you're like, I've read the texts on your phone. I've got witnesses that said they saw you snogging him in the pub, Rita. And she's like, no, I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. I don't know why people are saying these things. No, you're saying those things. On the messages on your phone. No, that's not what it says on my phone. Sorry. What are you talking? Get your phone out. I'll show you. All right. If you insist, here it is. It says, I miss you already, and your dick is so much bigger and better than 8. Right? Right, well, that doesn't mean that I kissed him. That doesn't mean... I was just speaking matter-of-factly. I was missing him already. He's my friend, but also everyone knows that he's packing. Right? And everyone knows that the bigger the better. Right? So is there anything else? No, it's nothing. Just get your coat or we're going to be late for my mum's. Right? That's what the Kremlin are like. They're like somebody's shit girlfriend. Wasn't me. I don't know why people are saying these. Oh, you're paranoid. Anyway, let's continue. So then the 6th of June, we've gone through May, we go up to June now. The 6th of June, they have to appear, these suspects, these Ukrainian lads. They have to appear at the Old Bailey. And 2 of them do by video link from Belmarsh Prison. But the oldest one, Roman, 34, remember, he refuses to leave his cell. So, park that for a minute, because that's the sort of, that's the context. Setting the stage for you here. Somebody has firebombed 2 houses and a car connected to Keir Starmer. The police have arrested and charged 3 Ukrainian men, one of whom was born in Romania, apparently. They deny the charges. That is the stage set. Now, if gravity can do its job and keep your vomit down long enough, I would kindly ask you now, guys, to take a look at this guy.
I highlighted to the Minister the scale of harms that the experimental vaccines have caused.
What other colleagues are not doing is promoting false propaganda, which is widely known to originate from the Kremlin.
Out of that poisonous cesspit of the right-wing conspiracy theorist ecosystem in the United States. And
abusing and undermining colleagues and the occupant of the chair.
Mandated people to lose their jobs for not taking a vaccine, which was unproven, unsafe.
Certainly wasn't unproven, certainly wasn't unsafe.
And using the autopsy of a 14-year-old girl as clickbait on their social media feed, all of which the Honourable Member has done in the past week. And he might like to reflect on that.
Mr Ridgeon, you heard what I said to Mr Seeley. We are talking about the contents of the report, and you're going way wider than that now.
Okay, so in comes Andrew Bridgen with Bashing Symbols, sponsored by Catcher in the Rye.
You know about, well, there's also the situation with Starmer has been very interesting, and it's not just what the media are saying, but what they're not saying.
Forcing us to ask the question, to say the words that so very, very few people ever seem to utter these days, which is, let's see what Andrew Bridgen has to say.
So three Ukrainian male models have been arrested for arson attacks on Keir Starmer's property. And they all had accounts on Grindr, interestingly enough, apparently.
Interestingly enough.
On Grindr, interestingly enough, apparently, which have all been deleted.
Okay, so they're possibly gay, I guess?
They all had accounts on Grindr, interestingly enough.
Interestingly enough. Now, the BBC, who hold themselves to a reasonably high standard when it comes to editorial and reporting, right? The BBC said two of them were understood to be aspiring models. Okay? Fine. Separately, LBC, a very famous radio station on which I have guested a couple of times, you know, not bragging, just saying it happened. LBC have put out a thing where they say that Stan was an aspiring actor. Also, so models, actors. Bridgen says they all had accounts on the gay dating and hookup app Grindr, but, he says, with his eyebrows raised, those accounts have since been deleted. They've vanished.
Which have all been deleted. And there are obviously some questions about Keir Starmer's private life and his relationship with Lord Ali, who's openly homosexual.
Openly homosexual. Happy Pride Month, guys.
But what the media aren't hearing, and I saw a report on this, it was actually from Vasily Poroshkov. He claims that the three Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information from senior politicians in the UK, and they were passing them to the Ukrainian dissident in Madrid.
And he's being very careful not to directly tread in it here, isn't he? He's not saying anything directly. They never do they? Over on the Crayola gargling right. He's not saying anything directly, but there's some subtext to this, isn't there? Like, what is it that you think that they are suggesting? Let me know in the comments. What do you think is the implicit subtexty suggestion here?
Three Ukrainian male models, they all had accounts on Grindr, which have all been deleted. And there are obviously some questions about Keir Starmer's private life and his relationship with Lord Ali, who's openly homosexual. Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information. Keir Starmer's private life. Ukrainian rent boys. Keir Starmer's Ukrainian rent boys.
Right, because I think the suggestion here, they're not saying it, are they? They're being really careful not to say it. But I think that the suggestion here is that Starmer is secretly gay and he was fucking all of these rent boys. He stiffed them for the bill and now they're really pissed off at him. Now that's the implicit suggestion here, isn't it? With all the, he's still got questions to answer around his relationship with Lord Ali. He's got questions to answer around his relationship with this openly homosexual gentleman. Which questions are those, Andrew? Can't really say at the moment, Ed. It's a cover-up! It's a cover-up! He's censored! It's all a whitewash, I tell you! Well, Starmer still has questions to answer about his relationship with this openly homosexual gentleman.
He's openly homosexual.
And I have looked around, guys. I've looked into this. I've searched up and down, far and wide, left and right, and I cannot find any credible evidence or suggestion in a legitimate publication with any integrity. I can't find any suggestion that Keir Starmer has ever dabbled in that area. But I also can't find any legitimate news sources who are suggesting that the three guys who've been arrested and charged themselves are gay. Let alone that they were actual full-blown fucking rent boys. Like, I mean, I don't, like, maybe they were. You know, Andrew Bridgen seems to be fairly convinced that they were. And he's heard from somebody else that they were gathering intelligence.
But what the media aren't hearing, Vasily Poroshkov, the former Ukrainian Secret Service agent, he claims that the three Ukrainian rent boys were gathering information.
But yeah, it's like, there's a total absence of any suggestion. Like his relationship with Lord Ali appears to be one entirely of sort of, donor and politician, House of Lords representative and Prime Minister. I don't think there's any suggestion from any credible news outlet that they are, sort of on the down low, secret homosexual lovers. Like Starmer is, as far as I know, Starmer's straight. He's been married since 2007. And the only evidence I think that you guys are going to find, if you go out looking for this, like him and Lord Ali, appears to be, this is the top end of what I've managed to find, is an AI deep fake of Keir Starmer kissing Lord Ali. But it's obviously a deep fake. Yet the whole of Twitter and TikTok are like, this is real. He's obviously a closet homosexual. What else isn't he telling us?
Here it is, being shared by an account calling itself the British Patriot in a post seen 3.7 million times, describing it as footage of Keir Starmer and Lord Wahid Ali sharing a kiss.
So there's that. But then the other thing is, like, if these three gentlemen, these three innocent until proven guilty gentlemen, if they were models and gay and rent boys, which nobody credible is saying, as I said, maybe they were, it's possible. Maybe they really were out there having a fucking time of their lives, making it rain with closeted homosexual high-ranking politicians with a lot to lose, throwing cash at them, getting bummed into the next dimension. Maybe that was happening. Maybe that is what was taking place. I don't know. But if that was the case, if they were on Grindr, and then they got arrested on suspicion of terror offences or arson of a high-profile politician like the Prime Minister, it's not actually abnormal for a platform like Grindr to remove those profiles. It's not actually that strange. Like Facebook do it, Instagram does it, Snapchat, if there's been like a gangland killing and they were uploading photos and videos, the whole profile will get hidden. And the reason that they do it is somewhat ironically to stop conspiracy theorists from jacking the videos and the posts and then reverse engineering their bullshit. You get arrested for 5 unpaid parking tickets. Somebody goes on your Instagram, sees that you were in Paris in 1997. What did he have to do with Princess Diana's death? Why aren't the mainstream media talking about this? It's a cover-up. So they hide them for that. They remove the profiles and the content for that. But also, probably more importantly, they do it to protect their own reputations. Because they don't want to be associated with somebody who's been arrested and charged of an abhorrent offence, A bit like how Andrew Bridgen's profile has been wiped from Conservative Party HR records, right? They don't want to be... They've just completely disassociated themselves from him. Like, is that a whitewash too, Andrew? Is that a cover-up? Or have they just made the commercial decision that is actually not beneficial any longer to be associated with Andrew Bridgen? Anyway, let's see where this went to next.
Breaking right now, shock new claims over the mainstream media cover-up.
Oh, God.
Nothing to see here, folks. Let's hide behind the contempt of court laws and just say nothing. Well, one person who isn't prepared to play by those rules is the former Conservative MP, Andrew Bridgen. Dropped a bombshell about the 3 rent boys connected to Starmer.
Oh, careful.
We'll get analysis on this that you certainly won't receive in the mainstream media from our superstar panel, June Slater and Howard Cox, in just one moment. But first,
wait, June Slater? Is that the fucking
dissident journalist?
You know, the woman off EastEnders. Is that her?
Our superstar panel, June Slater and Howard Cox.
Well, that can't be who he's getting in here to provide like D-list exited actors from like 20 years ago. Is that who it is? Is that it's the woman off EastEnders? Is it? Like, what is going? Like, what in the Christmas lights at Bognor is this?
Our superstar panel, June Slater.
I gotta check this. Hold on. June Slater. June Slater is an online creator, and you can follow her on YouTube here. Oh, right, okay. So it's not that lady. She's an online creator. She's a political voice on YouTube. But I mean, if the appearances on Dan Wootton and the Google Ads money dries up, she could definitely get impersonator work, couldn't she? Like, who was the short blonde-haired lady that had the affair with Phil Mitchell? You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
I don't know who you are. You just made me think I did. You do know me, but no one else does.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. There. That is honestly who I thought this was for a minute.
Our superstar panel, June Slater.
Like, I'm not even joking. Like, that's how low my expectations are for Dan Wootton when he's wheeling out his star panel tonight. Because it's not outrageous, is it? To think that could have happened and it could have been her. You know, GB News used to wheel out the former celebs from the retirement home, didn't they? The Eamon Holmes, Anne Diamond, Alistair Stewart, Jim Davidson. That was GB News, right? Up here, that's who they used to bring in from the retirement homes. So where would you lay your expectations for the guy that got the boot from GB News? Like, I know it sort of is on me for like looking and, you know, judging by appearances and getting it wrong. It's my assumption, and you shouldn't assume, guys. That is on me. But I think honestly, it still reflects badly on Dan. Because what does it say about him that I was so ready to believe that his star panel might only consist of this bitch, Mr. Motivator, and some erstwhile exited star from ITV's Gladiators from 1995. You know, would you really be shocked? Would you be surprised if it was the lady from EastEnders as a political contributor to Dan Wootton's Outspoken? You know, you look at this. Is it a news show? Is it a news show, or is it a Zoom call audition for Bournemouth Pier Panto? We just don't know. But no. No, well, it turns out they are actually two different people. So
I would argue that the mainstream media are doing what they often do, which is they're just choosing not to cover a story.
Obviously, these three aren't men, are they? So when we look at this situation...
Again, happy Pride, guys.
Something stinks, doesn't it? The smelly stuff is all around, but obviously the mainstream media aren't touching it. Is there a D notice out? I don't know. The mainstream media aren't touching it. Is there a D notice out? I don't know.
I don't know either, June, but definitely keep saying it, even if you don't.
It's being covered up again. Something's being covered up.
So then we get to this guy. This was posted a couple of weeks ago.
Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moaning. Well, this is a bit odd. It's just so mental. We've now got this sort of mixed match of these guys who are models, come possibly rent boys. Why would these three people have a grievance with Keir Starmer?
Then you get to publications like the Daily Telegraph, but not the real Daily Telegraph. This is the Daily Telegraph NZ. Okay? Now, are they picking it up because Dan Wootton is a Kiwi and he has connections in New Zealand? Or is it just a mask kind of site that's supposed to look like a Western news publication? Honestly, I don't know, and neither does June.
I don't know.
You do know me, but no one else does.
Then you get to accounts like this one, which is obviously way smaller than Dan Wootton's. But because of the sensationalist bent of the conspiracy theory, the video gains traction.
It's all unverified claims and rumours, etc. But when the internet starts whispering things about Ukrainian rent boy, who supposedly knows Keir Starmer and his mate Lord Ali, you've got to wonder what's cooking in the gossip kitchen.
And then this one.
Keir Starmer does not want you to watch this video. And I love this meme saying, sir, they know the Ukrainian fire starter was your rent boy.
It's very interesting, isn't it? It would be important to know if he was a male model.
More interesting details are coming to light about the alleged love triangle.
That he could be another lover of Keir Starmer.
People are starting to join the dots, though.
Join the dots.
And let's just break it down for a second, shall we? The reality of stories like this one, which is what at the moment is three lads, Ukrainian. They've been arrested and charged, suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson, and they deny the charges. They might end up at some stage. It might be revealed that they were on Grindr. It might end up being revealed that they were intelligence workers for a Ukrainian dissident candidate. And it may even relate to a wider plot to install a preferred candidate after Zelensky. Like, all of that may be true. Like, these governments, geopolitical entities, they do fuck around like this. They really do. Like, I'm not an idiot. I know the sort of fuckery that these countries and their governments get up to. And if you were an alternative to Zelensky, an anti-Western, pro-Putin candidate, and you had connections, espionage, compromat-style connections in London, like, it could end up being these three, or men like these three, engaging in sort of like blackmail bait, trying to lure in high-ranking officials. Like, that side of things doesn't sound outrageous to me. That could end up being what this actual story is. Like, that may be true, but probably what it's not, probably what it's not is Keir Starmer banging rent boys. Like, it's just completely without foundation. There's no evidence there to support it. But the reason these apps like Grindr, like Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, the reason that these apps quickly delete or hide profiles is commercial. And this isn't an isolated case. There isn't a cover-up. It's not some big whitewash. It's more that mainstream news outlets are regulated by Ofcom, whereas YouTube is not. So these mainstream places that all of these figures, Dan Wootton, Andrew Bridgen, all of the rest of them are bashing.
Breaking right now, shock new claims over the mainstream media cover-up. Nothing to see here, folks. Let's hide behind the contempt of court laws.
Like, actually what you're doing is highlighting your own privilege. Like, they're forced to play by those rules. They are rules that you are not expected to play by. Like, the BBC and the Daily Mail and the Sun, they can't be babbling about unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, can they? They can't be seen to be doing... They'll get sued into oblivion. The regulator will just pull the plug. But this is how the modern right flourish.
Questions about Keir Starmer's private life.
The mainstream media cover-up.
I don't know.
Keir Starmer.
Wonder what's cooking in the gossip kitchen.
5G lab leak lizard people bastards.
We saw it with Southport, with those killings when the disinformation exploded all over Twitter. Afterwards, completely unsubstantiated, turned out to be false, caused all of those riots. And the police didn't want to release any information that might either cause civil unrest or prejudice any trial. And it's the same with the press. Like, they don't want to prejudice a trial, but they also don't want to be regulated, right? And so then there's this sort of superficial knowledge or information vacuum into which march people like Andrew Bridgen, channels like Dan Wootton or Patriot News 1964 or whatever the fuck it is that your dad's watching in the spare room at 3 a.m. All of them pretending that withholding certain information is somehow evidence of a government cover-up. But it's like what is more likely here? Ask yourself that. What is more likely with this story? That these guys are Russian informants or Putin adjacent Ukrainian dissidents, possibly here to get blackmail material. They got paid to embarrass and intimidate our British Prime Minister. And they got arrested and charged, and the absence of further information in the public domain at the moment is actually the seriousness with which the police and the CPS and the press are taking the run-up to a potential trial. So which is more likely? Is it that, or that the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, loves rent boys, and even the Mail and the Express, both of whom would love to take down Keir Starmer. They would love a scoop like that, wouldn't they? Even the Mail and the Telegraph and the Express and the Sun and GB News, all of them are in on it. They're all in on this quilt, this blanket of silence. They've all joined the deep state, guys. Like, ask yourself that. Which is more likely? Which is more likely? Well, how's that for there still being questions to answer? You know, can we get an answer on that from June Slater, Jim Davidson, or Dan Wootton? Wootton, as I understand, is openly homosexual. Right, that's it for this one, guys. I've got to go. If you're not liked and subscribed and commenting and all of that stuff, please do consider it because it does help the channel to grow. I'll be back tomorrow with another alternative paper review, just like I am most mornings, but also I will be back on Friday night, guys, for the Friday night live show every Friday at 7:30. Be there or be somewhere else entirely.